Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. We're going to start talking about equations and lines, but before we do that, we have to talk about slope. So this section is going to be all about slope. All right, so before we get started on slope, let's review some things about a graph, okay? And we did a little project yesterday, which hopefully helped that, but just as a reminder, so where's the x-axis? Remember, my x-axis is my horizontal axis, okay? It's kind of a weird S there. And my y-axis is my vertical axis, okay? So I always remember y to the sky, okay? And that might help you remember as well. What is the x and y point in an ordered pair? So when we're looking at an ordered pair, that's two numbers in parentheses with separated by a comma, and the first one is always x, the second one is y, okay, for any kind of ordered pair. Okay. So let's practice plotting some of these points. So the point 0, 0, that's what we call the origin. That's our very center of our graph. We didn't go any up or over on the x and y axis, and that's our starting point for plotting any point. Okay, so that one was our orange one. Blue, so 2, 3. So I would go over 2 because that's my x, and then up 3, that's my y. And that's where I'm going to plot my point. Okay? And then negative 2, 3, well, x is negative going this way, and then I would go up a positive 3. Okay? And then 4, negative 5, again, that's a positive 4 in the x. Okay, it's a positive 4 in the x direction and a negative 5 in the y direction. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and plot my point there. Okay. And then for our last point, we're going to go negative 5 in the x direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 in my y direction. Okay. Let's say we'll just add another point so that way we have one in the third quadrant there. If we had like negative 1, negative 3, that would mean we would go to the left one and then down 3. Okay, and that would give us our point there. Okay, if you need to pause this to catch up where I am, please go ahead and do so. So we're going to really talk about slope today, and slope has two R words that are really important, and slope is rise over run. So it's very, very important. So I would star that, make sure you know it. Okay, our two R words are rise over run. Okay, so I'm going to give you some lines, and we're going to practice finding the slopes of them. Okay, so if I give you from here to here, and actually I'm going to move that over just one spot. So go ahead and draw those points and draw this line here. Okay. And we're going to decide what the slope is. Now, m is always my variable for slope. Why they chose m, I'm sure it's some Latin word or something or other, but it is m, okay? So I tend to start at my lowest point. You can really start at any point. And I say, okay, I'm going to try and get from this point to this point, and I'm going to count how many up and how many over, or rise over run. So I'm rising 1, 2, 3 to get to this point. So my top number is 3. And then I went up 3, and then I have to go over 1, 2 to find my slope. Okay, so the slope of this line is 3/2. I went up 3 over 2. So slope is a fraction a lot of the time, and that's okay. Right? Now when you go up, okay, that's positive. Okay, if you go down, that's negative. Okay, if you go to the right, it's positive. If you go to the left, that's a negative number. Okay, so you might want to write that down. It kind of goes with how you're plotting points, but just in case you need help remembering. Okay, so let's draw another line here. Okay, so let's say we have a point here and a point here. Okay, draw my line. Okay, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And again, we're trying to find the slope, and slope is m, and our two R words are rise over run. So we count how many up and how many over. I'm going to change my color here. So again, I like to just start at my bottom point. It makes my life a little easier. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So my top number is going to be 5. Okay. And then, so I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. But I went over in the negative direction. So this would be over negative 3. Okay. And we could write that as negative 5 over 3. okay, because the negative can go on the top or bottom. If you started from your top point, so if I started from this point, you would get the same answer, because you would say I'm going down 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be a -5, which is what we have on top here. And then in the positive direction, we would go 3, so it would be a +3. So either of those answers would be accepted. They mean the exact same thing. Okay, so you can start from any point and still get the same answer. You're just counting from one point to the other. Okay. All right, so that's slope, rise over run. So let's talk about kind of a word problem. So we have a red car and a blue car leave the same garage at the same time. Each driver drives at a steady rate. The graph represents the distance, d miles, traveled by the red car over time. So they gave you this graph, okay? I didn't make it up, they gave it to you in the question. So if you need to write that down, please do so. And then it tells us the blue car traveled 140 miles over the same length of time. How fast was each car traveling? And this directly relates to slope, because slope is what we call the rate of change, or the speed, okay? So the red car, we can see we're going for 3 hours, and we traveled 150 miles. So if I had to find the slope of this one, the rise is 150 over the run, which is 3, right? Because we're counting by 50s here, so we want to make sure we're counting by the right number. And then we're going over 3 because we're counting by 1s on the x-axis. And 150 divided by 3 is 50, so we always want to reduce that. Okay. Now the blue car, they told me they traveled the same amount of hours, so I'm going to have hours 1, 2, and 3, just like the red car. And I'm going to count by 50s on my y-axis just to make life a little bit easier. Okay. But they said they went 140 miles in the same length of time. So at 3 hours, they're at 140 miles, which is approximately there. And then I can draw my line. Okay. And again, the slope is rise over run. So I'm going up. I know that this, I know that this number right here is 140. Sorry guys, you get to hear an announcement. So once we go up 140, okay, and we know we went over 3 because we're counting by 1s here. Okay, and we know that 140 divided by 3 is not a super pretty number. So 140 divided by 30, or just 3, I'm sorry, is 46.6 repeating. Okay, so the blue car is traveling 46-ish miles per hour, and the red car is traveling 50 miles per hour. So we know that the red car is going faster overall. Okay. But they did ask us for how fast is each car traveling, so we did find that separately. Okay. There are 2 kind of special slopes that we talk about. So we talked about rise over run for our previous 2 examples there. A horizontal line, it looks like this, and we'll make that a little bit thicker so you guys can see it. Okay, so horizontal line looks like that, okay? That has a slope of 0 because we don't have to go up or down to get to the next point, right? We just have to go over. So this is always 0 over some number, which equals 0, okay? So as soon as we see a horizontal line, that's just 0, okay? Now vertical lines, okay? We do have to go up and down to get from one point to another, but we don't have to go over any. So what's going to happen is you'll have some up and down over 0, and we can't divide by 0. We don't know what that is. I'm going to write this down over here. So we call that undefined. Okay. So how I help students remember is this is like cross-country skiing, right? So if you have your little guy skiing here, okay, that would be cross-country skiing. This would not be skiing, right? We wouldn't want to do that because we would fall off the cliff and fall face first and probably break a lot of bones. Okay. So we do not like cliff skiing, so we're going to call that undefined slope. Okay. And in general, if you're curious, a line that goes upwards like this will always be a positive slope. Okay. And a line going downwards like this will be a negative slope. Okay. So if you see a line going this way and you get a negative number, something probably went wrong. If you see a slope going downward like this and you get a positive number, you probably did something wrong on the slope. All right, I hope this video finds you well, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.